I ran into Graham Weber last week.
Well, when are you coming to Maine? I said, well, I'm going to Italy first. He goes, when?
Yes, it is. Me too.
So I went, he said, I have some pictures. I said, hold on, who booked them? And he said, oh, Andrea, this is.
Actually, yeah, it looks much better than this before.
I said, no, Andrew.
He said, are you going like on your own or something? No, first I'm going on my own. Then I'm going on a walk.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Walk around.
It's always that way.
Well, I know.
I don't know why I
Just thought to ask
I
you.
have no clue. You mind?
Still hears it?
Getting dressed up to go to my son's holidays are so here, meals.
The only mic,
Put on a sweat.
the only mic that's open is yours.
Okay, good. As it should be. All right, we're working on it. We're working.
I'll email her.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Not my problem. I've taught them well about the township.
All right. Good morning. Austin, Texas, and America, wherever you are. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Central Texas, where we think more expansively, love more completely, and live more joyously. Woohoo! All right, and I'd like to thank Clark for a wonderful meditation this morning. Yeah, you got it for that. All right. And let's start by saying our opening affirmation on this wonderful April cool overnight and cool today weather we're having. And on the top of page 4, we'll say this together. It says, we believe that there is an infinite power and wisdom that creates everything. We are expressions of this same power and wisdom. The thoughts, beliefs, and expectations we entertain with the most energy, we change our energy and our attention, our experience changes to match. All right. And there's no birthdays on our list today. Anybody birthday in it? Or, no? All right. Well, we're celebrating the birth of Booker T. Washington, which was the namesake of my arts magnet high school in Tulsa. Spencer Tracy, Betty Davis, both great actors. Albert Broccoli, the James Bond movies, right? He was a producer of those. Gregory Peck. Frank Gorshin was the Riddler in the Batman TV series. Great jazz artist Stanley Turntine. Agnetha Foxcog. Anybody? Dancing Queen. Da, da, da. She was in ABBA. Now you know. And Pharrell Williams, who's eternally happy. All right, there you go. All right.
You should do more.
Yeah. No, they'll all talk you down on that. But, yeah, but all right. Let's see. We're going to invite Clark to come up and do an opening reading and treatment.
Thank you, Walt. Before I do the reading, he mentioned Frank Gorshin, the comedian, many of us may remember. I have to say this. I saw him one time do a routine where he was pretending to be Kirk Douglas playing Van Gogh. All right, so it's a scene where he's trying to get the imaginary woman to love him. All right, so he says, I'm going to hold my hand over this candle until you say you love me. And then he goes and grimaces and he pulls his hand away and says, now I'm going to light the candle. Okay, so anyway, here's the reading. This is from the April 2026 Science of Mind magazine, the article called Believe and Be. It's from Ernest Holmes' quote, and it's from Science of Mind magazine, page 355. It says, "Mind must view the thought as already completed in the thing, and the mind must also contain the avenue through which the idea is to be expressed. Every thought sets the fulfillment of its desire in motion in mind, and mind sees the thing as already done. When you believe, you activate the conditions for becoming." So, with that in mind, let us go into this silence again and know the truth. Today, tomorrow, yesterday, all days, the truth remains of what we truly are, who we are. And we recognize that presence within and surrounding. It's all-knowingness. It's all-beingness. And the only one true power, lest we give power to something else. And that is the practice to remain in this nowness, this wholeness, this oneness, this alignment with that one true power. It's divine and it's ours. Each one expressing as it, for it lives through its forms, knowing itself through us, and informing our actions of right mind that translate into action, right action in our affairs. And all this is mind. So let's give it that attention and purity, and recognize those moments when we are divided from it, separated in some way, small, large, and return to that truth that we learned here in this community, that truth that we are divine and we are creating all of the time with every thought and desire. So knowing that, I give thanks for this truth, this discipline, this teaching, this practice that when used returns to us truth, peace, and our true identity in spirit, as spirit. So I give thanks for all of that. I give thanks for this word and the energy of this word that moves the energy of law. And whatever our desire is, inherent in that desire is all that's needed to fulfill it. It's a thought, and it creates, and it's ours. So knowing that, I let it go, let it be, knowing that speaking the word makes it law. And it is now corresponded to perfectly and demonstrating as effect in our experience. Grateful for it, I release it completely, and let us say together, and so it is now. Thank you so much. And so now we are going to invite our guest musician today, who's been with us several times, and we're glad to have her back, Miss Heather Miller, everybody.
There we go.
This is one that I
it's not necessarily too much about it, but I rode out in far west Texas, and I've been thinking a lot about that these days with the border wall stuff. But yeah, it's called Ember of Empathy. Door is a dance between the kitchen and the car. Take me to Texas, take me to breakfast, take me to towns I've not seen. Awake in a world between fear and forgiveness. Sometimes there's crying, sometimes there's lying, sometimes there's burgundy, sometimes there's green. The ember of empathy is burning, bright and bold in the pit of my chest. And I think it's a sign that I'm gonna be fine, despite all my days of unrest. There's a window of wildness and willing, where whatever I want seems to fly. And I think it might mean that it's time to come clean about what I actually desire. The coin is a key between wanting and having. I keep coming close, I keep losing rope, I keep finding faith in the strength of my feet. I step on a stage between sinking and swimming, praying for grace, praying for space, praying to be heard, praying to be seen. The ember of empathy is burning, bright and bold in the pit of my chest. And I think it's a sign that I'm gonna be fine, despite all my days of unrest. There's a window of wildness and willing, where whatever I want seems to fly. And I think it might mean that it's time to come clean about what I actually desire. 'Cause the door is a dance, and I wake in a world where the coin is a key. So I step on a stage, and it's time to come clean.
Thank you, Heather. All right. Back at my angle. We're talking. All right. This morning, happy Easter, everybody. Happy Easter. Now, what does that do for us? It brings Cadbury eggs into my life. I think that's a pretty good thing. And I've done many talks on Easter and the crucifixion and the resurrection and all that stuff, but we're going to do something different today. N'est-ce pas, mi ami? This morning we're going to start a series that is called The 4 Agreements in April, based upon... there it is. The 4 Agreements. Everybody's got this book, I'm imagining, by this point. Yeah. It's something that's been around. It is not, it's well presented, but it is nicely encapsulated in four chapters or four main agreements, hence the title. And Don Miguel Ruiz presented it to us a while back. I didn't look at the copyright, but we've probably all read this. I think we've all appreciated the perspective and the clarity that he presents with it. And we even used it in our book study group, if memory serves me. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, we did. All right, good. I didn't know if it was a dream or reality these days. Who knows? Right? But it's not new to us, but really good, expansive ideas are always worth reviewing and bringing back into the mix. They're always worth returning to because we're always in a constant state of flux and change with what we're going through. That's why we review the first 4 chapters of the textbook every January, because each January, it's been a year and we've experienced things and we've had different changes and awarenesses as we go. And what we are eternally growing into and what we're attempting to transcend will always benefit from including a good review of what is going on, how we are showing up, along with a few life-affirming and expansive ideas and perspectives added into the mix. What I'm proposing on this review, since we've been through it before, individually, is let's do this collectively, okay? We got some buy-in on that?
Yeah.
From 3 people, all right, okay, good, okay. All right, it's good. All right, but what I'm proposing this go-around is for us each to make an individual commitment to really intentionally focus on the agreement of the week, okay? Can we do that? There's benefit to you in so many levels we'll get into in just a little bit, all right? But just, who's in? All right, we got most of it. All right, good. All right. And if you didn't raise your hand, the peer pressure is going to come get you. And when we focus on the agreement of the week, I want you to spend some time and really just notice how it applies in the daily living of your life, because I guarantee you it does. And how it applies to what you're experiencing in the moment and starts to clarify, excuse me, what's standing in your way. Whether that application of the idea moves us forward gracefully into greater good, or whether the remembrance of the agreement, we start to see the limitations in our current level of awareness and understanding, which is even more beneficial long-term and benefits the engagement of all of our future efforts. Now, to clarify, what is an agreement? Well, you say the dictionary, now we say the internet says, an agreement is a negotiated and often legally binding arrangement between parties on a course of action. It's an agreed upon commitment between either 2 or 22 or 222, and it's what we are saying yes to. Okay, what we're agreeing to is what we're saying yes to in our interactions with those around us. Sometimes that's a one-on-one. Sometimes we collectively agree to what we're going to do as a society. We say yes to things. Yes, I'll start a relationship with you. Yes, I'll accept this job with these terms we have agreed upon. Yes, I'll invest in this venture with you. What we're saying yes, and throughout the day we're saying yes, and we're even saying no, for that matter, to all kinds of things all day long, all lifelong. And that's what Mr. Emerson knew when he shared, you become what you think about all day long. You become what you think about all day long. Now, in our agreement with others, we combine our intellect, our resources, our energy to move in a similar direction. Okay? But the most important agreements are the ones we keep with ourselves. Now you're catching on, right? Hence, be impeccable with your word. If we break an agreement with somebody else, there will be some consequence. It may be a major consequence. It may be something more minor. It may be significant. It may be short-term. It may be long-term. But there will be some kind of consequence. But when we break our agreement with ourselves about whatever, doesn't matter, it initially seems inconsequential because nobody knows I made that promise to myself to start, stop, do whatever. Nobody else knows. But if we repeatedly break agreements with ourselves, we will know. And we will start to doubt being able to rely upon ourselves. And if we do that long enough, over a long enough period of time, breaking our agreements, we will eventually start becoming hesitant to even try new things. All right, all right. Now, we have agreements, excuse me, with ourselves, and we have agreements with a society around us. A group like this, we have agreements as the center here, right? Most of which the agreements in our society that we agree to, that we've come to set up our communities, most of them, we're in the middle of them, but we didn't vote for them back in the day. That's just the convention of how we do things these days. And like so much else in our life, even our own agreements, repetition solidifies the collective agreements. And the more repetition we get put to an agreement, the more they become established and accepted. And our beliefs come from our accepted agreements, both internal and external. What we have to remember is that any of these agreements, as with everything else, all of those agreements are subject to change and amendment. Now, most of our early agreements from our childhood, again, they weren't of our choosing. They were just by default, whatever was around, whatever the collective agreement of our familiar structure was, okay? That's why we end up later in our life, I turned into my father in so many ways that I swear, oh, I'll never be like that. That's whatever. But you end up being that way, right? Or our caregivers or our whoever, because whoever we focused our attention upon in the early years. Also, whoever we're focusing our energy and attention on now. That's why there's truth to the idea that we become the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Because we tend to hang out with people that have similar beliefs, have similar tendencies, have similar agreements as us. Now, we can call it confirmation bias or whatever, but it's just a tendency of human behavior. Because we have a perceived safety in numbers. We have perceived safety in hanging around with other people and getting confirmation of our collectively held agreements or our beliefs. Now, the real benefit in observing and adhering to these 4 agreements in the book we're going to talk about is we start to build and nurture a sense of self-love, self-responsibility, self-acceptance. We start to develop and build a sense of congruency between what we say and what we do. What we say we're going to do and what we end up doing. And that ultimately fosters a sense of strength that we can draw upon for moving forward. Now, each time we recalibrate or recalculate any long-held limited agreement, we reclaim the power previously invested into that errant direction. And we can now reclaim that power and redirect that same power into more life-affirming and expansive ways. Dr. Holmes shares, prayer should reach a point of acceptance, an unqualified and undisputed place of agreement. That's why we do a spiritual mind treatment, to get to a place of acceptance, an unqualified and undisputed place of agreement. Get to the place where I know that I know that I know that I know. There is no question about it. Right? That's when we open the channel through which we manifest. And one of the best ways to break free of limited ideas and limited belief structures and agreements is by regular spiritual practice, right? Okay? Or specifically, spiritual mind treatment. Now, as with any of the problem-solving things that my voice wants to talk about, all right, we'll leave that a little close. As with any of the problem-solving issues that we discussed last month, the identification of the obstruction in the way, the realization of another possibility, and the engagement and reallocation of resources, that gets us up and gets us going in a new direction, which is where we always find new possibilities and new opportunities and new resources. And spiritual mind treatment is both a spiritual tool that engages spiritual principles, but it's also a way to navigate and process our way from here to there, from this to that. So this morning we're starting with the first agreement, which is? Be impeccable with your word. Be impeccable with your word. Gold star for Mr. Okay. This one sets the tone for all the rest. That's why I believe he put it first, because it's foundational and fundamental. Words matter. Our words matter. Our words matter to us, they matter to those around us, and they matter to our collective experience that we're sharing. What we say matters because it's an externalization of what we believe, what we're thinking inside. But it's what we repeat that really matters. Like so much else in our life, a random word, a random thought, a random deed, here and there, doesn't really make a big impact on our life. It's what we repeatedly come back to, what we repeat, what we say is and profess to others as being valid and true that really matters. Again, why spiritual mind treatment is so powerful, because we build upon each treatment we do, no matter what the subject matter of the treatment is. With each treatment, we start to believe in our ability to successfully direct the law. Okay? So being impeccable with our word, it starts in keeping our word to others is integrity. That's building a good reputation of reliability. That person does what they say. Think about people in your life that do what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it. You're like, rock solid, okay? That's going to happen. And think about the people that say they will, but then they don't, right? There is one, though, always one, who will never leave you by death or by choice. Never. And that is you in your life, and that is me in my life, right? You best become your best friend, because you are going to spend the rest of your life on this plane of action, and I believe beyond, with you, okay? So keeping your word to others is one thing, but keeping your word to yourself builds that same internal integrity, builds an internal reputation that you start to believe in yourself. You start to rely upon yourself. You believe in your capacity and your tendency to follow through on your desires and your beliefs. And if you don't know where to start, just start with the smaller stuff. Because, as we just talked about with the treatments, everything builds upon everything that happens before it. Don Miguel Ruiz shares, through the word you express your creative power. It is through the word that you manifest everything. Say the word and you'll be free. Say the word and be like me. Say the word I'm thinking of. Have you heard the word is love? Yeah.
It's so fine as sunshine.
It is. Your word can set you free. When you keep your word, it empowers you to do greater things. And like as I said earlier, you're going to try more things because you believe in yourself. But that very same word can limit you. And it can restrict your success in just about everything you try to do. Being impeccable means to be consistent. It means to be honest, to be true to your true self. Being impeccable with your word means, it does not mean pretending. It does not mean false positivity or denying pain or faking a smile to make everything look okay when really everything's falling apart. Ruiz goes on, he shares, everything you feel or believe that goes against yourself is a sin. That's the sin. Okay? He says, whenever we hear an opinion and believe it, we make an agreement, and it becomes part of our belief system. What we say yes to, it matters. It matters a lot. It matters a lot more than we tend to think it does. So then in this first agreement, he brings up being impeccable with your word, but then he brings up gossiping. Did you hear? Did you know? Right? Okay. Gossiping is so prevalent, and if you if you really like step back and listen to what most of the news is about, most of the news is gossip when you pay attention to it. And gossip is so prevalent because our ego thrives. It just thrives on feeling superior to somebody else, no matter what that is. Feel superior to people we've never met or never will meet, right? But focusing upon and promoting somebody else's problems is a great distraction to having to actually process and navigate our own stuff. And we all got stuff, yes or yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Right? Okay. Now, Barker used to promote, Raymond Charles Barker used to promote that, you know, if we could just agree that on the 11th commandment, and if that was really fully and deeply embodied enough, we wouldn't even need the other 10. And he proposed the 11th commandment to be, thou shalt mind thine own business. Yeah. Because when we mind our own business, we start allocating available resources to what we actually are in control of and can make a difference about. I'm eternally surprised and delighted about how effective I can be when I focus less on what's going on around me and start focusing more on giving my energy and attention to what I want to do, to what I want to have happen, where I want to go, how I want to express. Ruiz goes on, he says, when you're impeccable with your word, you feel good, you feel happy, and at peace. I don't know, that's a pretty good recipe, to feel good, to feel happy, to feel at peace, right? Feel more like that. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, shares, an agreement is an interchange of thoughts and purposes. In either limitation or expansion, our agreement with this belief has tended to vitalize it. What we pay attention to, we energize, right? So this week, I want you to start watching your word. How are you with your word? How impeccable are you with your word? Do you believe yourself when you say something? Okay? All right? Watch what you're saying and doing and thinking and expecting, and that's called objectively observing, okay, which is a very powerful spiritual practice. But remember to remain objective in your observing of yourself, because that is the most instructive and the most beneficial way to do it. Meaning you don't judge the quality of the mental or the physical activity, you're just gathering data for current and future reference. And when we really start engaging, deeply engaging the spiritual practice of objectively observing ourselves, I don't know about you, but I was paying attention to myself this week as I spend the most time with myself, as I said earlier. And I heard a couple of real doozies, man. Things that I would never say out loud anywhere, in any circumstance, about myself, right? All the while, intellectually and spiritually, energetically knowing that life meets me right at my level of belief about myself and what's going on around and within me. So, before you say the familiar thing, just pause. Before you tell that old story again, just pause. I did this morning with Clark. Before you diminish yourself for a laugh, self-deprecating humor that I love, just pause, okay? But you're not going to pay attention to this until you start paying attention to it, right? And before you repeat your favorite limitation, just pause. Because that pausing brings us into the present moment, into this moment where our life is actually lived. Not in the past, not in the future, but in this moment. And start to watch your inner and your outer conversations, and remember to ask yourself, what am I reinforcing with my words? What kind of identity am I reinforcing? What kind of old script have I just accepted as truth? Is this really what I want? Is this really what I want for the other people involved? Because The truth is, I can't wish anything on anybody else without choosing to spend that moment of my precious life focusing on that exact same thing. You just can't do it, as Frank says. Remember that your word has power in your life. And when we can start to speak about ourselves the way we speak and describe and define God, all those same qualities, all those same possibilities as being true about ourselves, then we're really getting somewhere. Remember, the words of others take dominion over my experience as soon as I relinquish my energy and control and attention to them. My word is what I'm choosing in that particular moment, and the experience I'm creating for myself to not only experience in that moment, but to then move on from into the next moment. So it's very powerful, very powerful. And since it's so powerful, we engage it most intelligently by being intentional with what we're focusing upon, with what we're choosing in this moment, and what we're choosing with enough energy to formulate into a new thought, a new belief, a new expectation, an actual expression. But you got the advice from Dr. Seuss all those years ago. Mean what you say and say what you mean. And there's another part about those that matter don't mind and those that mind don't matter or something. There's the other part of that. But pay attention to your words. And the more intentionally we are with this immense power that we're directing throughout the whole day, that we're directing through our whole life anyway, the more we'll choose the absolute best from what we find available to us right here and right now, which inevitably leads us to discover and find more good, more love, more peace, more beauty, more joy, which then makes our life experience and which makes what we're contributing to the collective mix more life-affirming and expansive. And yes, it really is that simple. It's so powerful because at any moment we so choose, we can start to change or completely replace what we're focusing upon, even if it's been the focus and the predominant belief in our life for decades. We can change it to something else. And the really cool thing about that is that as soon as we change, and I mean as soon as we change, our experience changes to match. Yeah, it changes everything downrange. I'll give you that. Okay, it does. But it changes right where we are, just as we are too. And that's not a small thing. That's a spiritual practice. That's a powerful, powerful thing. And that's the power of being impeccable with our word. And this is how we learn to trust ourselves, to trust what we commit to and for others, and most importantly, what we commit to for ourselves. And when we keep our word, our promises to ourselves, we start to feel better. We start to feel empowered. We start to feel more grounded, and we open our hearts and minds more easily and more completely because we realize that good really is all around and within us, and so it is now. And the only thing you're going to remember from any of that is that. Very good. All right. Let's take a moment and give ourselves the gift of our good attention. We'll look at our weekly affirmation, which is on the top of page 6. It's also on little cards by the front door over there. You can take with you if so inclined. And we'll read this together. It says, I carefully choose my agreements with others and with myself. I honor my decisions and commitments as the opportunities for growth that they are. As I commit and follow through, I grow more confident in my abilities, power, and the level of good I bring to each interaction. All right. All right, let's just take a moment, maybe close our eyes or reposition our physical form or take a deep breath or two and allow yourself to be a little more present in this moment. And revisit this commitment we all agreed to earlier of watching this agreement, this first agreement, being impeccable with our word throughout this next 7 days, and realizing how powerful it is and how powerful we feel when we do what we say and mean what we say, and then act upon those words accordingly, with others and with ourselves. Because our agreements are what we're saying yes to in life. And our subconscious mind, the quantum field, law of cause and effect, however you want to think about it, is always reflecting that back to us. What we're saying yes to is what we're focusing our energy and attention upon, and it becomes our experience in that moment. So we realize that any commitment, any agreement we make is an opportunity for us to grow from where we are, from how we are, from what we know and what we have, and what we believe we have to offer, into all that's still to come by means of us. We commit and follow through, and we start to feel better. We start to feel empowered. We start to feel more happy. We start to find greater joy in the very same life we're living. And we start to feel confident in our abilities. We start to feel confident in the power and the level of good that we bring to each interaction. We recognize that there is greater good available to us all the time. We realize there is greater good available to the world by means of us all the time. And we've taken this time this morning to know a greater truth about ourselves and a greater truth about life. And we take that with us as we leave here today and move on into greater living in every way imaginable, and then infinitely beyond that. We love this wonderful teaching in all the ways it shows up in our life and reminds us of the spiritual principles we're always directing. And we love this community of like-minded individuals that love and support each other through all the wonderful things we get to do together throughout the week. And we love this beautiful day and this beautiful springtime expansiveness that is going on, and appreciate all this beautiful life and this beautiful city as we move forward and enjoy it all. We release this with deep joy and gratitude, celebrating the changes that have begun and that continue as we continue our focus on this agreement throughout the week, as we become impeccable with our word in the small things, in the medium things, in the large things, in the external verbal or external written agreements, and everything in between. Loving this all, we release it with completely as we say together. And so it is now. All right. And now we're going to invite Heather to come back up and do a couple more songs for us. Yay. And are you playing anywhere we can come and see you? Or?
You know, I don't have anything booked for a little while, but I do have a show each month of June, July, and August at New World Deli, Sunday afternoon. Yeah. And I'm also on the internet. That first song is on my record. This one I'm about to play is pretty new. I've only played it outside my house to one other group of folks, so.
Well, you're in friendly territory.
Yeah.
Until privilege.
Another one of my favorite places in Texas is out by the Kerrville Folk Festival. There's a pretty beautiful river out there that's great to go to when it's really hot. This is a little bit, it's really hot. A little bit about that. I have 102, sweat just beads and drips. Cinnamon and apple linger on my lonely lips. The songs you turn me on to, pumping through my car door speakers. I'm trying to find that old farm road that leads to the Medina. twisting Texas two lanes hide beauty around each bend. From rocky hilltop vistas to the cypress leaning in. Over low water crossing, sweet respite from the heat. Keep looking for that old farm road that leads to the Medina, where I keep seeing cardinals, same color as my hopeful heart. Everything is so calm and green, then a flash of feathered scarlet. They don't stop their singing as they flutter branch to bough. Can't find the words to tell you how I feel, but they're written in those wings somehow. The river's cool, clear water has gotten in my blood. You can see down to the bottom, all the fish and rocks and mud. But I'm not sure I'm ready to kick up silt between us, so I'll just look for that old farm road that leads to the Medina, where I keep seeing cardinals, same color as my hopeful heart. Everything is so calm and green, then a flash of feathered scarlet. They don't stop their singing as they flutter branch to bough. Can't find the words to tell you how I feel, but they're written in those wings somehow. Words burning bright red in the middle of my chest. Every day I wonder if silence is still best. I'm praying that the trees and water help me to forget for just a little while, even though I keep seeing cardinals, same color as my hopeful heart. Everything is so calm and green, then a flash of feathered scarlet. They don't stop their singing as they flutter branch to bough. Can't find the words to tell you how I feel, but they're written in those wings somehow. Thanks so much for having me. Do you guys ever sing along? Sure. Okay. I would love, this is an invitation to sing along. I don't want to put pressure on you if you're just here to like sit and be quiet, but okay, just checking. So this one is called Rain Song. It was appropriate for the day, the weather, and I wrote it back in 2011. It's on my first EP. It was during a big drought year. The backdrop was on fire. I was doing a whole bunch of open mics, and one of the gals at the open mic was like, if everybody goes back and writes a rain song, I mean, I'll come back and sing it. Maybe we can help bring the rain. So this is mine, and if you catch on to the chorus, which I think and hope you will, feel free to jump back in with me to whatever degree feels good, and don't worry about, it's kind of like singing happy birthday. You just do it for the joy of it. You're not trying to be like pretty or fancy or anything like that. So yeah, I start with the chorus and it'll come back around a couple times. Everybody needs a rain song, something to sing when it's been dry too long. Everybody needs a rain song, so come on, rain. It's so hot, the blacktop is crying. The potted plants on the porch are all dying. The grass is greener in some other state. We're watching the sky and asking it why. All we can do is pray. Everybody needs a rain song, yeah. Something to sing when it's been dry too long. other time we may get floods, and we'll forget about how dry it was. The only constant is the weather will change, and we'll keep watching the sky and asking it why. All we can do is pray. Everybody needs a rain song, something to sing when it's been dry too long. Everybody needs a rain song, so come on, rain, one more time. Everybody needs a rain song, something to sing when it's been dry too long. Everybody needs a rain song, so come on, rain. So come on, rain. So come on, rain. Thanks for singing. Warren Hood plays fiddle on that one on the record.
Oh,
Check it out.
Check it out. All right, thank you, Heather. And your song worked this week. So we got like an inch and a half, 2 inches at our place. So that's cool. Now we come to places or time of our time together where we celebrate the greater good we've experienced through the application of these principles or being impeccable with our word. I wanted to say a special thank you to the NASA program for reigniting I think a lot of us grew up in the 60s-ish, when the program was just getting going. And my dad was involved with design of the lunar landing module as an engineer. And so I was very caught up in that. And man, when that thing took off, I was just bawling like a baby. It was like, why is this so much? But I think it was several things that remembrance of my childhood, but also that sense of we can go places we haven't been in a while. Now this is metaphorical as well. We can change things. We can relocate from one planet to another, and I just thought that it was a very part of what I observed was that I was feeling how great it was that people were focusing on something positive for a change, because we tend to focus on what's wrong, who's to blame, and all the rest of the stuff. But I think that's just a great thing. So I celebrate that for NASA and for me. And we'll get to one other thing in a minute. But does anybody else have something to share? Yes, Jean.
I'm very grateful for my tax clients, and I'm very grateful that it's almost over.
Well, yay God for tax clients and where they're from. Yes, Clark?
Well, we can move into areas where we haven't explored before, but we can also do that internally, of course. And,
Right.
I experienced that very recently when things weren't going the way I expected them to, and I was agitated, I was angry.
Oh, Clark.
I was internally going through this,
Yeah.
Why does this have to be that way and this have to be that way?
All right.
And then I stopped for a second. I said, what the hell are you doing? You're looking at like one limited possibility,
Right.
Think of something, greater. And I began I did a little treatment. It wasn't a full-blown treatment, but I just recognized what was happening, and I chose something different.
Yeah.
And I stayed on that idea long enough to where it really did change. I felt lighter. I felt like that wasn't so important after all, And this is more important. Well, this new thing that I'm experiencing now.
Cool.
So, yeah, and I'll leave it at that, because that's, that's something we can all do.
Yeah.
It wasn't that easy for me in the past to do something like that. But now, it's like, much easier, much more helpful, So anyway, thank you.
Yeah, no, you God for that. And I think what's powerful about that sharing that you're doing is, being able to interrupt the pattern that's, maybe gone on, or the pattern that may be going on all around us, that it's easy to buy into, to interrupt that for a moment and realize, hey, there's something else I can focus on. There's something else possible here. Maybe I don't know what it is yet from my current vantage point or understanding or awareness, but there, in an infinite universe, there's always something else available. And I'm making myself available to that. And I celebrate the joy and the peace that you start feeling and the empowerment, and it's all good. So, yeah.
Makes my word a lot more impeccable in my interactions following that, too.
Yeah. Elena, were you going to say something?
I just wanted to give thanks that my son and his family's move, after all the months of stress, went well.
Oh, cool.
I was able to be there for almost 2 weeks to help while they started their unpacking, which continues.
Yeah.
I'm just really, really, really grateful that it went well and that I was able to be there so that now I can visualize them in their new space.
Yeah.
And their neighborhood, and I got to walk all around and really get to know the area. And it's just really helpful, because now I can, when I talk to them through FaceTime, I know what they're talking about.
Right.
Oh, we went to here, went to there. And I know their secret hiding place in the house and all that. So,
Okay.
so just really grateful for that.
All right. Well, yeah, God for that. All right. Yes, Glenda?
Tom and I go out to lunch every Sunday after service, and so I'm just inviting anybody that would like to join us. I think we'll just keep it real simple and go over to Azul Tequila for lunch, and please join us if you'd like.
Okay. Well, you have been invited, as it were. Yeah. All right. And I would like to say a special welcome to Kai from Olympia, Washington. He's new to our community. We have a common friend in Mary Wild, who's a practitioner of this teaching for many, many years, and we welcome you to Austin. Yeah, glad you found us. That's good. On another note, I would like to, some of the announcements we're looking at is Patrice Maltus, who's one of our musicians, but also a longtime member and friend of the center, has gone through some pretty wild trauma in her home in Woodstock, New York. And she has a GoFundMe thing, but she's also asked for our treatment and love and support. So however you can show up for her, any and all is appreciated. And just know that she is moving through this transition, gracefully, and that there is good in the midst of her life and all life. So I invite you to consider that.
Well,
Yeah.
if anybody's interested in the GoFundMe link, if you go to Patrice Malton's Facebook page, it's on there.
Oh, thank you.
And I don't know about anybody else that did you run into the GoFundMe tip?
Yeah, but you don't have
I couldn't find a way not to do it. So I just,
to. As you go through it, it gives you an option.
it does, okay, well, I didn't see
Or
that.
reduce the amount.
All right. All right, well, anyway. But yeah, let's love and support her through that. Let's look at opportunity for application in your life. How do you feel when you stay with a commitment? Stronger, more capable? Yeah. Well, that works all the time, so choose wisely to your commitment. Next week, we will continue the 4 agreements in April, and we will be discussing, don't take anything personally. Okay? Now, and our musician will be Emily Shirley. Now, everybody that committed to like keeping in front of your mind, being impeccable with your word this week, raise your hand, keep it raised. There's an ethical bride. Just for you. Does anybody have a dog that you need a scoop or a water bowl? I saw Jeff's can, or you just still have your one?
I need one.
Okay, then let me take those, the clip through. Anybody need a koozie?
No,
It matches your shirt. All right. Well, now you have 10,001. All right, well, you want some Easter?
is there any chocolate in there?
There's chocolate.
Don't take every one of them.
We're sharing.
I'll take one. He was right
Oh,
past
I'm sorry, I thought you,
Thank you.
I don't know what these Kit Kats are.
Oh, they're good. A truckload of them was stolen in Europe.
Where's that Kit Kat?
They're in there, you get
It's right here.
You're gonna, you don't want it.
He's good.
I don't want it.
This person's not, he's not diabetic now, he probably will be.
Is that your Easter basket?
This is my Easter basket.
You got dessert before lunch.
Yeah, last year's Halloween.
You like these? Okay, well, there's some in there and I can't take them all home. All right. Now, that's called the ethical bribe. That's what that's called. So now you've chewed on your commitment to the betterment of your life and all life in general. So, I think I said Emily Shirley will be our musician next week. The book study group has concluded, but we're working on the next round of stuff, so pay attention to that. I'm going to be doing a updated version of the spiritual practice workshop here at the Human Potential Center on Wednesday, April 22nd. It'll run 6:30 to 8 at night. It'll also be on, you can be present or you can be on Zoom. Is it Zoom? Okay, and the link would be available on the Human Potential Center's website. Okay. Wednesday, the 22nd, I'm sorry, which I think is Earth Day, somebody said, or I don't know, or it's around then. So, all right, let's say our closing affirmation as we get ready to go out and enjoy this beautiful day and this life. And it says on page 7. I am an expression of infinite, divine, creative intelligence. Knowing a joyful serenity awaits my recognition and acceptance. Deep in my understanding that I am perfect, whole, complete, and dynamic. My soul is forever established in life, love, light, power, peace, beauty, and joy. I lift my eyes to the divine in me, in those around me, and in all of life. I walk out into the world with a heart and a mind open to the infinite creativity of all life, and so it is now. All right, thank you very, very much. And the report from YouTube, Planet YouTube, was that there was occasionally some little static in the underline, but the music and the
What I was wanting to do is just turn this board off and see if it's still there.
It's kind of grown.
Could it be, that would kind of eliminate the mic.
Okay, well, turn it off now.
It's